I grew up, you could say, with boats. I was always out in the river or out in the harbour when I was a young fella. And when there was a boatyard opened here in the early 50s, I got a job there and served my time there, worked there in the old Shamrock Cruising Company. And I've been at it ever since.
What kind of crafts have you worked on in the past?
Mostly wooden boats. It was all wooden boats in my time when we started off working first. Fiberglass didn't come in until the middle 60s really here. And it was all the first introduction I had was building and repairing wooden boats. And we still do a lot of that here. We also do a bit of fiberglassing here now.
Now, obviously, you've worked on some famous crafts in your time. Tell me about them.
Yeah, we worked on a lot of pretty well-known boats. Probably the most famous of them was the late Sir Francis Chichester, the one which was built here in Crosshaven in about 1970. And he was a very, very nice man to work with, very ordinary. And obviously, when we were building a boat for over 12 months, we had a lot of dealings with him. And she was very successful afterwards for him. She was built purely as a single-handed racer. She was a big boat. She was over 60 feet long. It was a bit of a challenge, I suppose, at that time to build her for him, to have him probably come to Ireland to build her, because he could have gone to any part of the world, really, you know.
That was the Gypsy Moth, of course.
Gypsy Moth, yeah.
Is it unusual to build a yawl in this day and age?
Well, I suppose it's a bit unusual at the moment to be building anything because things are a bit slack all around. But we were lucky enough to get the building of this particular boat, and she's a modern version of a very old-time craft that was very common in West Cork 100 years ago. They used to sail to the fishing grounds. This one will be a little sailing boat. She'll have an engine, of course, and she'll be, as I said, the modern version of a very old-time boat. You know.
What materials are used in the building of a yawl?
Well, we're building her of the more or less traditional materials, Irish oak and Irish larch, and she'll be that way right through. You know, we won't be using anything. We'll probably the only modern thing now will be a bit of plywood on the deck or something. You know.
Donnie, what's a carryman doing living and working in Cork?
Oh, God, I don't know, that's a hard one, all right, but as a very small boy, I left Kerry. My father died when I was very young, so my mother got married again to an army man, which was transferred into Bear Island from Waterloo. And there we lived for 5 years. He was in the army in there for 5 years, so he retired, and we came out to the mainland in Castletown Bear, which we stayed for 7 years. And my father, stepfather, got a job in the caretakers up here in Fort Camden. So that's what brought us around here first day.
Did you always have an interest in boats?
Always had an interest in boats, but I never did really work at them until I came to Crosshaven. So I worked up the river in a boatyard, in Keating's boatyard, for about 3 years. And I worked in the oil refinery for 12 months, and after that, when that closed up and finished, I came to Crosshaven Boatyard, and Dick Leonard had the boatyard at the time, so I worked with him for the last for 26 years I worked there. So they say after when he sold out, then Pat and myself, we kind of decided that we'd go out on our own too, which I had this piece of ground here, and I asked him would he be interested in building a shed over there, and so from then on we got cracking, and everything worked out all right so far.
Now you've settled and built a home in Crosshaven. What about other members of your family? Are they following in your footsteps?
Yeah, well, Billy, my son, is here with us since the day we started. He served his time in the Crosshaven Boatyard, and he done 12 months in Baltimore and Anchor course. So I have 2 more sons. They seem to be interested anyway. I have a daughter in America. She's always talking about she hopes to get a job in the office someday and all this. But, you know, that Pat looks after a lot of the bookwork, and my own, Maureen, my own wife, over does a bit of it, like, so.
So you're going to keep it all in the family?
I'm keeping it all in the family, yeah.
While Pat and Donnie at Castle Point Boatyard are looking to provide a future for their families in the years ahead, a local ship designer and owner of one of the oldest yawls in the country can trace his ancestry with the sea back over 100 years. His name, George Bushe.
As far as I know, it's gone back to about 1700. And immediately, you know, in the recent past, my grandfather was at it, father, myself, sons, they were all at it.
How did you become involved in boats?
I'll tell you, my first or longest memory is sailing trials on a vessel called the Faoilean that went to the Falkland Islands in 1926, 27, I think. I was on her sailing trials. She was designed by Conor O'Brien and built in Baltimore. She was a trading vessel of about 60 feet. And she's still there. People have been to the Falklands recently, have told us that she's still there.
What kind of vessel was the yawl?
She's a traditional sailing lobster boat. They've fished with 3 men. They lived aboard them for most of the summer season. And they fished round the coast from anywhere from the Mizzen right round to Dunmore East. And they fished usually about, a boat this size, fished about 30 pots.
And how close to the original design is it?
Well, she's a bit shorter to start with and wider. The reason for that is that these boats, they were awkward to handle. That you know, you had to have 2 good men to row them, to turn them around from one tack to the other, because they wouldn't normally sail around. And the modern boat has to be able to do all these things, you know. So she varies a good bit from this, because to build a boat like this isn't practical at the present time. She'd be no use to anybody.
And what about members of your own family? Are they continuing in the family tradition?
Well, there are 2 of them building boats in England at the moment. And they'll probably continue at it as long as there's a living to be made from it.
From the voyages of Brendan to the excitement of the Fastnet race, shipwrights have created vessels to help us conquer the ocean. And in Crosshaven, that tradition is continued.